I have a really important announcement for all future and existing members of my exclusive podcast coaching program, the Elevate Insider. Not only will you get full access to all of my episodes and exclusive supporting content that correlates with each episode, but for a limited time, I'm offering a special bonus, my top client retention strategies. This is the same exact retention strategies I've tried and tested in my commission salon and with my team. It's the reason why I've built such a loyal client base over the last 13 years. To get this exclusive bonus material, all you have to do is subscribe by either clicking the link in the show notes or visiting www.opulentbeautypro.com/insider. If you currently subscribe through Apple Podcasts, I highly recommend canceling your subscription and resubscribing to get this special offer and easier access to this program. Hello and welcome to the Elevate Podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Nowakowski. I am a salon owner, educator, mindset, and leadership coach that helps salon owners go from overwhelmed and burnt out to motivated and empowered. It is my mission to help you systemize your business, generate more profit, and create a career that you are absolutely in love with. Join us every week to learn about the small shifts you can make to elevate your business regarding mindset, marketing, social media, business systems, and so much more. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Elevate Podcast. On today's episode, I am so excited to be interviewing one of my stylists that I have at Opulent Beauty. And the reason why I wanted to interview this stylist today is because she is making waves and she is setting a new standard for me and my team inside of my salon. Maggie is going to share her insight and what she's doing in order to build her book of business. She has built a solid book of business. I would say right now she is 75% booked, and she has been at my salon for 4 months. She is a new stylist, so she is beginning her career inside of my salon. And the reason why I thought today's conversation was appropriate is because I feel like so many salon owners struggle with getting their team to do what they need to do in order to book. And I also want to state that I think that leadership has so much to do with how our team thrives. Maggie has worked at other salons prior to mine, and I want to say, and I'm not going to take credit for, but being in the right environment with the right leadership and the right positioning in order to get your stylist to grow is what creates a thriving stylist in order to truly be themselves and be able to figure out their tactics and what they need to do inside of their business. So the reason why I am interviewing Maggie, she has drive, determination, and she has business tactics that she's putting in place in order to strategically fill her book and to really build at a rapid rate. When I say that this girl had a full book within the first month of working for me, it literally was so impressive. Every single time I opened up Facebook, I would see her name in all of the groups. And even though she was really uncomfortable doing some of the things she needed to do, she got them done. So I really want to dive into what her thought process is and how she is really growing inside of my salon. And as I'm recording this, of course, she is already 10 minutes early. And that's another thing that I really love about Maggie is that she really treats her career like a career. and she truly does all of the things right. And I am so excited to chat with her today. And I can't wait for you all to really get to know her and maybe get some insight of what to look for when you are bringing on stylists in your salon, and maybe some insight on how you need to coach your team in order to get the results that you want.
Hi, my name's Maggie. I am a stylist and makeup artist at Opulent Beauty Salon. I've been behind the chair for 3 months now. Before that, I assisted for about a year. And then when I came to Opulent, I did the assisting for about a month. And then once I started filling my books, it just made more sense for me to just go behind the chair. And that's what I've been doing so far.
So, the thing that I really love about you is that when you came to my salon and I interviewed you, I was like, this girl is so wonderful. Like, I knew immediately that you had everything that I knew someone needed to be successful. So, I want you to kind of share the process because I think a lot of salon owners struggle with finding stylists. And not only do they struggle with finding stylists, but they also struggle with finding stylists who are top stylists, who are driven, who are really motivated to build their books, and who really take their salon seriously and their career seriously as an actual career and not just treat it as a hobby. So, when you were looking for a salon, what were the qualities of my salon that drew you to actually want to apply?
So the salon I had been at, another girl, I had been looking for classes and I had asked, like, where do you think you would recommend going for classes? Like, I don't want to break the bank, but at the same time, I know I need some more like foundational skills. And she recommended you guys, and that was like hands down, like, just that's a place to go. So I'd followed, and then I was just kind of like watching the page, like waiting for like posts, like, okay, when is the next class going to be? That kind of thing. How do I enroll? And then when I left the salon I was at, immediately I was like, I reached out. And then like the next day I got in for like an interview. So I honestly, it was word of mouth more than anything. And I think that right now social media is so big, which is so great. But at the end of the day, like I trust somebody telling me face to face way more than your Instagram page. So I think word of mouth marketing is still so big. Then I came in and the environment was just like so welcoming. Everyone seemed happy to be there. And I didn't really look further. Like I reached out to a couple of salons and then I told my parents, I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to meet with anybody else because I was really happy with it. But I was like, but I don't want to kick myself later for not. And then they were like, just go with your gut. And then I reached back out and that was it.
Yeah, I think reputation is everything when it comes to actually like finding stylists. It's social media presence, of course, but reputation and those are the things that are really going to excel you. So it's so important that you really nail down your leadership because word spreads fast. One of the things that I loved about you when I interviewed you, you actually came to the salon with questions and you knew exactly what you wanted to ask me. And it was almost like you were interviewing me, like I was interviewing you, because I could tell that you really wanted to make sure that your next move was going to be something that was the right move for you. So for me, with you coming to the interview prepared and you looked the part, that was one of the things that really made you stand out when it came to actually bringing you into my business. Another thing that I absolutely loved about you, Maggie, was that you were so humble. You didn't come to the interview like just spewing all the things that you felt like you were amazing at. You were very honest and you're like, I feel like I need work here and here, and this is where I'm struggling, and I'm looking for a salon to kind of help me build this area of my business. And you really kind of were just very straightforward with what I could expect from you, even though like I think that you really discredited yourself a lot in the interview. When I interviewed you, you're like, oh, I need so much work. And I was like, okay, that's great. Because when I was bringing you on, I knew exactly what to expect. But you pleasantly surprised me that you were so strong in so many areas. You had and do have an amazing work ethic. And the one thing that I love about you is you're very bold and you are very resilient when it comes to putting yourself out there. So I kind of want to talk about that too.
Yeah.
Because you have built, and the reason why I wanted to bring you on the podcast is one, I think you're so wonderful. But I
Thank
also
you.
see the success you have created for yourself. Everything that you have done in my salon, I have literally just give you a place to actually do business, but everything that you've created and the success you've created in my business is because of what you're doing. What kind of thought process do you have when it comes to finding clients and getting clients to actually sit in your chair? Because you're 75% booked, like you're almost 100%
Yeah.
booked, and it's been 3 months.
I will say thank you for giving me so much credit. However, I would credit a lot of it to Kajabi and like we have like a 12-week program for anybody who doesn't, I don't know if they have access to that or if that's something they can invest in, but I highly recommend that. I did all of the 12 weeks online and I did a lot of the workshop things that went along with it and tracked my progress through that. I also track all of my insights and all of my finances. And so then that helped me to set like new goals. But I would say the biggest thing is social media, especially the Facebook groups. And we were talking about it last week and you said like, how do you get like people to post or like whatever? And even the new girls who have come in, they're like, well, what do you say? And I'm like, I just say like, hi, I'm Maggie, and like whatever Facebook group, specifically the mom groups I've been really successful with. And I was really nervous at first. And I asked one of the other stylists, I was like, how did you post? Like, what do you say? Like, I get it. It's nerve wracking and you're scared. Like, I see how many people, I track all my insights. So I see how many people have saved my post, how many people have sent my post. And that I feel that anxiety of like, oh my God, people are talking about me. People are sending my posts. What are they saying? Like that anxiety of like, oh my God, like what do people think? What are they thinking about me? And like, does it feel embarrassing at first? Yeah. It could go the opposite way though. Like maybe they're sending their posts because they're like, look at her prices. Like, let's go to this girl. Or maybe they're like, oh my God, she's doing so good for somebody who's brand new. Like it could be just as positive. You don't know. So you just have to tell yourself. I just tell myself, it's like, they love me. They're obsessed with me. They're sending my posts or they're saving my posts because they love me so much. Like you don't know. So tell yourself whatever it is that makes you feel better about it because you don't know. And then I would say another thing is like, yes, it's embarrassing to post, but I find it way more embarrassing to not be booked.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to live with that. Like if you don't want to post online or you're afraid of putting yourself out there, that's totally fine. Don't cry when you have one client on a Saturday and it's a blowout and you made $10. So you have to pick like, yes, I was embarrassed. I was super embarrassed at first. I was so afraid of what people would say about me. But at the same time, it was like, but it works.
That was one thing that I also like loved about you is that you do the work. I literally give you all of the resources to be successful. It's you who has to actually take the initiative to put the time in. And every single day I'd get an email because every time any of you guys finish a video, it sends me an email saying, Maggie completed this, this training. So I was getting all of these emails. I was like, Maggie finished this training. Maggie finished that training. And I was like, damn, this girl is like rocking it, like just getting everything
Thank you.
done. It's just proof that all of the things that you have at your fingertips truly can create the results that you want. You
100%.
just have to take the time and make the effort in order to implement the things that you know will bring success to you. And our 12-week program is very robust. It is a lot. It can feel very overwhelming, but it is literally everything that you need in order to create a thriving business as a stylist. So I'm so glad that you brought that up. I also want to talk about not only are you doing the work and you're showing up for yourself, and I know you said you could be like a little obsessive sometimes when it comes to like getting things done. And I think that is how I was too, actually, when I was building my books. But how do you find balance now, like as a new stylist? Because I feel like it does feel like you're doing a lot of work. I feel like upfront in the beginning of your career, you do feel like all you're focused on is trying to fill your books. So like, is there anything that you're doing to kind of create balance for yourself? Are you putting anything in place so that you can kind of still have a personal life and have a work life?
Being completely candid, there isn't a whole lot of balance. I'm not going to lie. It's getting better now that I've like started to establish, but the first couple of months I would say, yeah, no, there was not balance going on. And that's okay. And that's like, depends on, obviously never put yourself in the position where like you're going to be mentally unwell or it's too much for you. And like, there were days where I was just like, I just can't do it today. I need a break, whatever. And so I did set those boundaries sometimes, but it also for me was like, you've waited this long. Don't stop now. So I didn't have a lot of balance, but it worked. So I think it depends on your values. And like, I would rather grind it out for 3 months and have no balance, and then the next year be way easier than spread it out over a year and then like, slowly see those results. I wanted it like bam, 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 especially because I knew my 6 months was going to be right around the holidays. And I had like my vision of like, just get to January, just get to January, get to January. And then I have my plan set of like how I'm going to level out. But you can do anything for 3 months or 6 months or a year. You can do literally anything. You can survive it. It's mind over matter.
And that's kind of the answer that I wanted, because it really is sacrifice and it's dedication and it's discipline. And it's easy to fall off track and lose focus. And I think, again, that's one of the things that truly sets you apart as a top stylist is the fact that you did have that dedication, you had that determination, and you had the discipline, and you knew like, this is temporary. I just need to do this in order to get where I want to be and to get the result that I want. And then as soon as I get that result, it's going to be much easier for me and I can take a step back. So I love that you
Yeah.
shared that.
Thank you.
I also love one thing about you is that you have a very clear vision and an understanding on what you want. Like, I was listening to you do your friend and client's hair the other day, and you're like, this is what I want. I want to build up my career, and I know I want to get married, and I want to have kids, and like, I want A, B, and C. It's like you have a clear vision, so you have a path to follow. How did you figure out what you wanted your clear vision to be? Because I feel like that's another thing that new stylists struggle
Yeah.
with.
Well, first of all, I've been obsessed with vision boards and manifestations of all sorts, like for like the past 3 years. So depending on when you catch me in life, like when life is a little busy, I'm not as good about like updating them. But I set vision boards throughout like beauty school, throughout when I started assisting, and then throughout like when I started behind the chair. So mine right now is not fully complete, but once I'm like officially, because right now I'm technically a protege stylist. So once I go onto the floor, then I'll have my new vision board. There's science behind it, that vision boards and like seeing things and constantly telling yourself as if it's almost already happened that you will succeed. So my vision board for beauty school, I took 6 hours on it and I photoshopped myself into the pictures of what I wanted to be. So I wanted to graduate and I wanted all honors. And so I photoshopped myself into a white dress and I photoshopped myself with the cords. And every day because I hated beauty school, I would look at that and I printed out like a small version of it. So I have the big poster board and then I would print out a small version. I put it in my journal. And so every day when I would open it, I'd be like, this is why you're doing this. This is why you're doing this. Yes, you are going to have days where it's like, I hate this, or this is the worst, but then you try again tomorrow. So vision boards. Another cool thing is Canva has brand boards. So I highly recommend for new stylists to get the Canva Pro. And that was also one of the lessons in Kajabi, was to create your brand board. And then also like doing research on how my brand board goes with the salon's vision. So like the salon has certain fonts that they use. So I'm going to use fonts similar to the salon fonts. A little different so that I set myself apart from other girls, but the little touches where it's just like, you see my post and you know it's mine because I use the same 3 fonts all of the time when I use Canva. Or you know the post is mine because the background colors are these 3 specific colors. And so then like you become noticeable and people know that it's your post, and that sets you apart a little bit. Vision boards, manifestations. I mean, it sounds like so silly, but I think you become what you believe. So if you believe that you're going to be successful, I think you'll be successful. They say that like quote of like, people who say they can and people who say they can't are usually both right. And like, so I told myself there was no other option. Like, get it together because we're not doing something else.
Yeah, I literally love that about you. I remember when you came into the salon for our meeting and you brought in your printed out, everything was like so perfect brand board. And I was like, wow, it literally was so impressive. And I was like, this girl is something so special. And
Thank you.
I am so glad that you chose to work at my salon because I really do feel like that is a privilege. It is a privilege for stylists to trust you wholeheartedly with their career. And I think that one of the things a lot of salon owners forget is how important leadership is, how important culture is, and really what it takes to take on an employee to really help them thrive. Like that is a privilege. And I think that when we talk about leadership, finding the proper leader and finding the right leadership for you is something else that's going to create so much success for you as a stylist. Every single person is going to thrive under a different type of leadership. There are
For
so
sure.
different forms. And I think when it came to you coming to my salon, I think that's what I appreciated about our interview was that you really wanted to make sure that what you were getting into for your next step of your career was going to be the right type of leadership. When you were talking about moving and coming to our salon, like what were some of the things so my salon owner listeners can know what the leadership skills that you were looking for? And what are some of the leadership skills that have helped you thrive and actually feel like you're in a safe space, feel trusted in order to be able to build and really focus on your business?
Oh my God. Well, there are a million things. I'm obsessed with the salon. You've done such an incredible job. You're such a great boss. I mean, I love like everything about it. Like literally. I would say the first thing that has nothing to do with leadership is just kindness. Like genuine kindness. Like I came in and it was like I was on the verge of tears the second that you asked me, like, how are you? And I'm like, why did somebody ask me how I am? I'm not okay. Like, and you were asking, like, why did you feel this way? Or what was going on with this? It was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in a therapy session. Like, she genuinely cares, feeling cared about and feeling seen. And like, yes, do the clients matter 100%. But at the same time, I felt like I'm the one you care about more. And I think any business, if you have good staff, that staff needs to be like priority. And I've always felt like priority, or I felt defended, or I felt like represented if I needed it. And also the fact that we have like an interesting like tier system almost. And I went through again, it's on our Kajabi of like the levels of the stylist and the levels that you can move up if you want to mentor. And like everyone kind of has their own role, which I thought was really cool. And that was something that set it apart from any other salon I had spoken to before and after. We have almost like a learning leader, like you would have in school, where you could go to this person and it's like Amanda. Amanda's really great with cutting and she's really great with like corrective colors and big services. And then you have Mel, who's really great with extensions. And you have Caitlin, who's amazing with social media. And then there was always just somebody to go to. And then I knew immediately, like, hey, I have a whatever kind of haircut coming in and I'm terrified. And so then I would text Amanda and it would be like, Amanda, please, for the love of God, tell me that you are going to be there today because I have a shag. And I'm like, like I'm so stressed. And I did it. And she came and checked. I was a little scared. And she's like, no, you did so good. And she gave me positive feedback. But I will say, like, you don't want fluff of like, oh my God, you're amazing. Everything you do is great. But there is a great way to like have the balance of here's what you could do differently, but here's what you did great. Everything that she would give me advice on, it would be like, you did such a good job with this. Try this now to fix whatever issue you're having. And so I just felt really guided. I felt like they cared about like if I did well or not. I didn't feel like, oh, whatever, she's just another stylist. I had a corrective color coming in and she came in on a Saturday and I was like, what is she doing here? Why did she come? And she starts helping me. I'm like, you don't have to help me. This is like your Saturday. She's like, no, I'm here to help. Like, I'm here to watch. And like, there are just little things where you could save time by doing this, or you could make your life easier. And I was doing things the long way, just having that guidance without feeling like embarrassed as well. That was another thing. I felt like if I ask for help, then it makes me look like I'm not the professional. But she had such like a kind way of doing it where I didn't feel embarrassed. It wasn't like, why are you doing that?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening here? Instead, it was like, oh, I see why you did that. But this is easier to like put me at ease and to put the client at ease. So yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like everyone kind of had their role. And so I never had to question, who do I go for that? Who do I ask this about? This is all set out for you. And then we have little groups in our band that were like set up with specific like learning leaders who would check in with you and be like, hey, what do you have this week? What's going on? How are you feeling? So that was really cool. A whole lot of things.
I know that, and I have this, and there's a podcast on the roles that we have in my salon. If you are really interested in actually learning about roles, I highly recommend subscribing to the Elevate Insider, and you're going to get an in-depth episode on the roles that I have in my business, along with a complete PDF with everything broken down for you. When your team feels that they have support in every single area, it creates so much success. I also want to say the one thing that I love about the leadership roles and the way that we do things in my salon is I don't make everyone do something in a specific way. My goal at the salon is to truly help the team develop their own way. So there is no wrong way of doing anything. There is no specific way that we really want you to do a highlight or a haircut. It's like we want you to figure out what works for you and gets the result that you need in the way that is the most comfortable for our team members. And I am very specific and strategic with who I put in what role. I think a lot of salon owners, what they end up doing is they just give the position to somebody to keep one of their top stylists because it's technically a promotion, when in reality, they don't belong in that role. So making sure that your leadership roles are truly a space and the people that should be in that space is so important, because if you have the wrong people in leadership, it will break down your entire salon and it'll break down your team. So I'm so glad that that was one of the things that you decided and one of the things that really has helped you.
Yeah, it was super helpful. It's
It really
nerve-wracking
is. Mhm.
to ask for help.
Yeah.
And so because it was already set in stone before I even started that, like, hey, here's who you go to for these things if you have a question about this. So I didn't really have that same anxiety I would have normally had asking for advice.
And I think too, and this is something else I want to talk about, is I think that so many salon owners put so much pressure on stylists to do everything perfect and to not make mistakes. One of the things at my salon is that it is going to be inevitable. You will make mistakes. You're going to mess up hair. You are going to need help with formulation. You're going to need help with haircuts. Like, you're not going to do everything perfect when you first start out. Your first year is all about figuring it out. It's all about tweaking and refining and really becoming the best stylist that you can be and giving you the space to do that without judgment. And I think that's what a lot of salon owners need to do. They need to give new stylists the space without judgment to figure it out. One of the things that I love about you is that you actually are willing to try new things. You're willing to ask for help, which is something that, again, like you said, is very hard for people. But when you do that, it has really helped you refine your speed, your technique, and your improvement within the last 3 months has been phenomenal. I say this to you all the time. You have set the bar so high, even for getting people in the salon. I think before you started working for me, I'd be like, well, it takes time. Give them 6 months. But now I'm like, no, if Maggie can do it, the others can do it. There's no excuse. Look at Maggie. Look at how Maggie's doing it. She's doing so good. So you have really set the bar high for the team. I know I've talked to you about this, but it hasn't happened yet. But I think one of the things that I try to do in my salon is I really try to find every single person's unique gift. Caitlin is really great with social media, so that's her role. Amanda's very great with leadership and education and just explaining things, so that's why she's our team lead. For your role, I really want you, when the timing is right, after you've taken time to build your business, to really help developing stylists to get busy and to really help build their books, because you excel and you have so much strength in that area. So again, as a salon owner, really get to know your team, pay attention to their strengths, and really get to know what they're passionate about and what they excel at, and then give them that role in your business, because that will help the entire team. For the stylists listening, what are some things that you recommend or that you want to tell other stylists on how to really start getting results in their business? Because I think that's another thing that holds stylists back, is that they feel that they try and they're not getting instant results. And it doesn't really work like that. You have to keep pushing. But what are some things, maybe 3 tangible things that you can give other stylists to really start building at a rapid rate?
I would say post all of the time, cross post in different groups. And who cares if it gets deleted? I've been flagged 1,000 times. I keep post. I don't care. If you won't accept it, another group will. So then I just copy paste, send it to a new group. A lot of them get deleted. But even in the time that they get deleted, I have still had people reach out. Maybe only 2 people saw it, but one of those people reached out. So don't be discouraged by people deleting it. A lot of groups have like strict rules against promoting yourself or promoting businesses. And that's fine. I completely understand. But at the same time, like I'm still going to do it. I will set alarms on my phone. I'll look through the groups and it'll be like, oh, on Wednesdays in this group, you can post business related content. So then I'll set an alarm and I'll write the name of the group. And then I'll know on Wednesdays, I'm allowed to post business. So then I'll go into that group, copy and paste, send my thing, and then I'll pick my most recent or best work and then my price list, and then I'll post. And a lot of the groups will have like some are Wednesdays, some are Mondays, some are Sundays. So you do have to like really be on it and set your alarms so that you don't forget, because if you do and you get flagged enough times, they will block you or like remove you from the group. I haven't had that happen, but a couple of the girls have. I don't know why. I think I don't know if I just went under the radar. I don't know how it happened, but for the most part, I just get flagged. And it's like, okay, I'll try on Wednesday then. So I would say definitely the Facebook groups, specifically the mom groups or neighborhood groups, those tend to be the best. And I think like the smaller the group, the better the outcome I've had. So when I do, like our salon is in Palos Heights, I would try to do a Palos Heights mom group as opposed to a Southwest suburbs group. You might still have success with it. I have, but like I think I've gotten the most people from smaller groups, because they tend to have less rules regarding when you can post and not post. The bigger the group, the harder the restrictions. So I try to like kind of pick a smaller area. Instagram is different. So Facebook, I think you are kind of targeting millennial and above. And then I think Instagram, you're doing millennium and below. So for Instagram, I do a different approach where I will go through local businesses and I will follow people who look like they either get their hair done, look like they get their makeup done, look like they could, they live in the area. Maybe they're following other neighborhood pages. So pages that like are maybe like a studio and they do yoga or things like that. I go through and I follow each and it's so tedious. It's so annoying. But I've gotten a lot of people that way too. And then you will give us like little prompts at the beginning of the week. And then those are the people that I go through, because it's like I recently followed them. They've thought about me. They accepted, they whatever. And then that's the person I go to. And I'm like, hi, would love to have you in for a free blowout or whatever. And then that gives us the opportunity then to make a connection. And then in the future, they'll be like, maybe they're already getting their hair done by somebody else, but they're like, oh, I'll keep her in mind for blowouts. And then when they're in the chair, I'll talk about product, or I'll talk about the makeup services I'm doing, or something that even maybe they already have been going to the same person for 20 years, but their daughter hasn't. And so they're keeping me in mind for that. I offer every service. That's another thing. Like I have heard some people say niche down early on, because then once you're niche down, like you bring in a specific clientele, you're doing specifically what you want. But I kind of went the opposite route where I offer all services. And I think that has worked best for me, because I don't really know exactly what I want 100% yet. So right now is like my time to figure it out. Like, do I dislike this service, or do I just not feel confident? Because confidence is going to come with doing it. I can't say I hate men's cuts until I've done 100 men's cuts. You might not be bad at cutting men's hair. You just aren't confident. So you don't hate the service. Maybe you do. My mom, when we were little, would be like, you have to try something 10 times before you could say you don't like it. And I think you have to at least do 10 times of a service before you could say that you hate it, you're done.
I love that so much. You're right, because you don't know. Maybe you just aren't confident in it yet. And once you start doing it, you build that confidence. You might end up loving something. And I think that is one of the things that helped me build so fast was I was forced to do everything in my commission salon. We had to do everything. But that leaves more opportunities for clients, because you can help and you can provide more services, the more services you offer.
And that's also another quick way to build your books as well. Is like, yeah, you might not love doing men's cuts, but a men's cut is 30 to 45 minutes. And say I have a break between like a foil and then I have like an hour and a half break. I could easily fit in a men's cut, and now I'm making extra money. The salon is making extra money. And like, you have to think like we station share. So like if I am not filling out that entire station for the entire day, it's like, I'm not making me money and I'm not making you money. So like, I only have these 8 or 9 hours to fill people in. I'm going to fill in my men's cut here, and then I'm going to fill in a blowout here. And then I'm going to have my bigger services at the beginning or the end of the day. And so I think that's a good way. Like, even though you might not love it, I haven't had that issue of like having big gaps in my day because I take every service.
And I totally agree with that. You just need to be strategic. And not everyone is going to love what they're doing 100% of the time. And that's going to be no matter what career you're in. It's like you have some things that are not great or possibly like make you, create a little discomfort, maybe doing like a shorter clipper cut and maybe taking those blowouts, even though they're not your favorite and they're not the biggest money maker. The point is like, you're still taking the time to connect with people. And the more that you connect with people, the more your reputation gets grown and builds. And then the more money you can make behind the chair. So, and the more demand you create, the more demand you have, the more you can charge. And it has to start with the little things that are going to fill up those areas first. Okay, where can everyone find you?
Both my Instagram and my Facebook pages are Maggie May, MAE Beauty. And then once you're on my page, I also have like my website link. And then I also have my like Vigarlo link as well on Instagram, and I believe Facebook too.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. And
thank you so much for having me.
I literally am so happy that you work at my salon. And today, as always, you just proved how professional you are and really what a valuable asset you are to my business. And I feel so privileged that you work at my salon.
I feel so blessed to be there.
Thanks for tuning in to the Elevate podcast. If you loved this episode, it would mean the world to me if you would leave a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. The Elevate podcast is hosted by me, Patricia Nowakowski, and is produced by Opulent Beauty Pro. To receive my free business guides, visit opulentbeautypro.com/free or click the link in the show notes. You can find me on Instagram at Opulent Beauty Pro or at Patricia_Nowakowski_OBS. If you love this show, please consider subscribing, and we will see you next week.